right? See, this is our objective of scanning. So scanning determines whether the system is up or down, and if the system is alive, then we'll be going for port scanning to identify the port status. If it is like port status would be anything like open or closed or filtered and unfiltered. So if it is open means the port is open and it is ready to accept the connections, right? If the port is closed, yeah, if the port is closed and it is not ready to accept the connections and initiate the new connections. And when you see a result, when the port is filtered, it means that there is some kind of a firewall which is not allowing, you know, Nmap or any kind of a scanning tool to identify the port status. Okay, when you see something called filter, it means that there is some kind of a protection is existed, right? And when you see unfiltered, it means that there is no firewall and there is no any kind of a security protection, right? So when you run this port scan with the help of Nmap, so Nmap defaultly it's sending, you know, right? Let's say if you just run the default Nmap in the Kali with some IP address. Okay, sorry, with some IP address. Let's say I'm giving 43.100. So when you run this scan, Nmap is defaultly sending a SYN packet. Okay, it is defaultly sending a SYN packet for 1,000 ports. Okay, it's sending SYN packet for 1,000 ports, which are mentioned in the NSS script and which are most popular and most commonly used ports. If you want to define the other ports rather than the ports which Nmap is scanning, you can use -p option. Then you can define your customized port like port number 20, 21, 22 or whatever the port you decided to scan, right? Then we'll discuss about the types of scans. Okay, so Nmap will support for various types of the scans and some of the scans which I have listed over here and most commonly used scans, right? The first one is TCP scan. The first one is TCP scan. So what is mean by TCP scan is that, okay, so let me show you the practicals to you. Okay, so you can see my Kali is up and running and my target system is also up and running, right? So so this is the system which I have targeting, right? So first of all, I have to identify what is the IP address of this system which is connected to my network. We are both in the same network, so we have to identify, what is the IP address of this system or whether it is alive or not when you know the IP address, right? The first thing what I'll be doing is I'll be performing the ping scan. Okay, I'll be performing the ping scan by disabling the port scan because Nmap will be doing defaultly port scan also, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just giving Nmap hyphen sn. Okay, so this is just a pin scan and disabling the port scan. Then I'm giving my entire range. Okay, I'm just giving 1 to 254 because okay, because this is my IP address and this is my subnet. Okay, and net mask and broadcast IP address. So I am connected to class 3 network. So I am just scanning this class 3 network to identify the alive systems. Got it? So here you can see there are totally 4 systems are up. Okay. The first system is my gateway, that is very common, 43.1, and the second system is my local host. Okay, like where I am running all my virtual machines and other stuff. Okay, you can see this, right? And this is my Kali Linux operating system IP address because just now I saw that this is my Kali Linux operating system, and this is the new IP address which I found it. So this is the IP address which is belongs to what? Windows 7, right? So you can use this command, okay, to identify the IP addresses which are alive in the network. Okay, then now our motive is to identify what is the port status of this particular target, right? So when I run Nmap and just when I give the IP address of my target, as I told you, it's gonna give you all the port status for 1000 ports. Okay, by sending SYN packets. By sending SYN packets because Nmap is gonna use SYN packets to identify the port status. Okay, so even we can call this scan as a SYN stealth scan. Even we can call this scan as a SYN stealth scan. So what will happen in a SYN scan and what will happen in a stealth scan and what is the result which we got it? So let's quickly analyze it. So this is the verbose information which we got it, like when any scanning is happening and if you give an enter, it's gonna tell you how much percentage it is completed and how much percentage it is remaining. Okay, then after that the first thing what we got is we got the scan report. Okay, we got the scan report for our target. It's saying that host is up. It's saying that host is up. Then, as I told you, it's gonna scan for 1000 ports, and it performed the scanning for 1000 ports, and it's identified that all the ports are filtered. All the ports are filtered. It means that there is something which is not allowing our Nmap to identify the port status, right? And along with that, we got the MAC address of the devices, right? And how much time it has taken to complete the scan. So clearly we got all the ports are filtered. So when you want to practice this scanning and when you want to learn it, so go and disable the firewall, because if the firewall is enabled and when you're trying to scan it, or when you're doing something, when you're playing with this Nmap tool and the initially, you will not get to see any result over there, so it's very difficult for you to understand it, right? So now I have disabled the scan. I have disabled the firewall. Okay, let's run the same scan and check the difference. See, this scan took only less than 2 seconds where there is no firewall. But if there is a firewall and which is not allowing us to perform the scan, it took almost 27 seconds, right? And you can see here I get to see all the information about the port status is open. Okay, some of the ports are open in that Windows system, and other 988, in a sense 12 ports are open. Okay, ports are closed. Okay, not filtered. All the 12 ports are closed. all the 12 ports are all the 12 ports are open and 88 ports are closed, not filter, right? So this is a difference. If you have a firewall and if you don't have a firewall, the result will be like this: closed, open, filtered, right? It is doing what SYN scan. Okay, similar way, even you can initiate SYN scan, like you can define to Nmap. Okay, so hyphen small s capital S. Okay, so this is also same. So this is also gonna send you the SYN packets to the target system, right? So what will happen is when you send a SYN packet, uh, so like the three-way handshake, I hope you people have remembered it. SYN is a TCP flag, right? So SYN is a TCP flag. So when you send a SYN packet to any port, like let's say if I'm sending a SYN packet to port number 21 of any system. So if this port is open, okay, if this port is open, the system is going to respond with what? SYNAC, right? We'll be sending a SYN packet and we'll be having SYN plus acknowledgement, right? Then we'll be sending a reset packet because when we receive the response from the port number 21, it means that the port is open, right? Then we will send the reset packet. Okay, we'll send the reset packet. That's it. We'll send the reset packet. Okay. So this is what will happen in where SYN scan. Okay. So okay. It means that these all the ports now which are responded with SYNAC, which are responded with SYNAC. So that's what the reason I can able to see the information over there, right? Similar way, like I don't want to perform like SYN scan. Okay, I want to perform uh, other types of scans, like other types of scans such as uh, like let's go for TCP scan. Okay, so so you just replace with S2T. Okay, S for SYN scan. Okay, S for SYN scan. You can replace that with the T. Okay, so it means that it is a TCP scan. And if you see, and again all the same result when you compare with SYN and when you compare with TCP, the result is same, right? So here what happened is that so when you do TCP scan, it will wait until the three-way handshake is get completed. It means that it means that we are gonna send a SYN packet to them and they are gonna send SYNAC packet. Okay, and we are gonna send them acknowledgement. So the three-way handshake is done. Then okay, then we'll be resetting the connection. Then we'll be resetting the connection. So in a TCP, port status will be identified when the three-way handshake is done. When the three-way handshake is happened. So then only it will identify the port status, right? So this is all about TCP scan. Okay. So when you want to identify the unfiltered port states, like we have filter, right? Like filter is like something is protected. But when you want to identify the unfiltered ports, okay, when you want to check if the firewall is existed or not, you can see I have sent an acknowledgement packet them. I have just initiated the acknowledgement packet. And you can see the port status are unfiltered. The port status is unfiltered, right? So it means that there is no firewall. Let's go and quickly enable the firewall and run the acknowledgement scan. I'm just sending an acknowledgement. Okay, see it's taking long time. Just give enter. So it's almost completed 66 percentage. Yeah, you can see now the ports are filtered. So acknowledgement scan will help you to identify the status of the, I can say, firewall or any kind of a protection. Okay. Okay, this is all fine. But what is the case if they are running any kind of a UDP ports? If you see the result here, I got all the TCP ports, right? But if in case, what is the situation if in case if they are using any kind of a UDP services, whether our TCP scans will help us to identify those UDP services or not? No, definitely no, because only TCP services will communicate with the TCP and UDP services will communicate with the UDP. Okay, so to identify the TCP communications or TCP services, you fire TCP or SYN packets. Okay, like depending on uh, how you're planning to identify it. So I'll suggest you to go with the SYN scan because it'll not consume more time and it'll also give you the a result like very similar to TCP. Okay, and there will be no much traffic when it compared to TCP. Okay, so when you want to identify the UDP ports, okay, then you have to send UDP packets, that is capital hyphen small s capital U. So it's gonna send UDP packets to Nmap, that is 1000 ports. Okay, that is for 1000 ports. So it's just 25% is completed, 28% is completed. So what I'll do is I'll just uh, okay, let's just wait for some time to check if any UDP port is open or not, right? So I hope you people are catching it, and you know if you have any doubts, you can send me in a chat box. Okay, so I'll try to you know answer, or I'll try to explain that in a different way. Right. So UDP scans are very slow compared to TCP. Uh, Even I don't know why this every time UDP will take a very longer time than TCP. Okay. So let it scan, and so next thing is you know as we discussed, defining the dedicated ports, because it's not a good practice to scan every time 1000 ports or 65,500 35 ports. Even sometimes you will be in a situation that where you just need to identify only one port which is running TCP or UDP service, right? So in that case you can go ahead and you can create your custom nmap command. Okay, custom nmap command. So you can just go with the nmap, then probably you can define -p and the port number which you want to scan. Let's say I'm going with 135 and 137. This is for NetBIOS in a Windows system, and you can define the IP address of the you know of the target. Then you can define which type of scan you want to perform it. And this is not going to take really much time because it's just going to ping these two ports to identify the status, right? So let's hit enter. You can see I got the result, right? So you can see there are two UDP ports on the same machine which are open and which are running UDP services also. But when you scan these two things with TCP or SYN, one shows open because it might be running TCP and UDP, and the other shows closed because it's just running UDP services, right? So this is how you have to craft, or this is how you have to define your ports to get the scan result very quickly, right? So here you can see the previous scan is completed for the 1,000 ports, and it has identified there are 7 services which are open and which are running UDP, and it's saying open plus there is some kind of a protection, right? And this is a service status. This is a like service status, like what kind of a services are running in the port, right? So I hope you people have cleared with this port status scans, like how to identify and what are the different techniques, different types of
Sir,
scans
I have one doubt.
which we have. Yeah, of course. Yes, Apo.
Sir, I am trying to like search my Windows 7 IP address, but like it is different. Like you showed that in one command all the IP addresses appeared, but in my side it did not appear. When I like did it in Windows 7 that IT config, so I found that the IP address is totally different. Then when I search it separately, it is not like showing that the host is up or not.
Okay, got it. So have you used the same command to do same command?
Yes, yes,
Have you verified your IP address?
yes, sir.
It should come. Are you running this Nmap with sudo?
I don't know, sir. Please, will you please check it?
Yeah, of course. So just note down this point. So at the end of the session, I will take your screen sharing. Then we'll we'll resolve it.
Okay,
Yeah. So yeah. So for all, I'm requesting you, right? Whatever the questions you have, so please note down those questions. So at the end of the session, we'll go ahead and we will discuss and we'll clarify your doubts, right? And similar way, when you want to perform the scanning with the different flags like SYN or Xmas or any different flag when you want to initiate, you can go with nmap scan flags scan flags. Then you can define the flag. Let's say if I want to do it for acknowledgement scan, okay, on just port number, let's say 135 with UDP packets, you can see port is closed. Okay, so you can define, like, when you send an acknowledgement, you have to know what will happen in the background. Okay, when you send a SYN packet, okay, what will happen in the background? So you have to know the things like you have to know the TCP communications and TCP flags. So then easily you can able to figure out that, right? Even we have a tool called Wireshark. Okay, you can use this Wireshark tool. Uh, I'm not okay. Sorry. Go to sniffing and spoofing, and we have a tool called Wireshark. Run this Wireshark with administration privileges, and this is a basically a network analyzer. Okay, it'll analyze all the packets which are going in my network. So it's a packet analyzer. So let's show you an example. What will happen when you do SYN scan, acknowledgement scan, or any kind of a TCP scan quickly, right? So I'm doing Nmap, I'm doing SYN scan on port number, let's say 445 on the target machine, right? So the port is open. So what could have happened in the background is that you can see here. I hope you people can see this. My system, that is, which is having an IP address of 192.168.43.220, is sending a packet. So that's the reason it's source and destination. It's sending a TCP packet and it's sending a SYN packet. This is my port 36325, which my system is using, and it's pinging to port number 445 to the target system, right? To the target system. So when I send SYN packet, I got it like the target system is responded with SYNAC. The target system is responded with SYNAC. Then I have initiated the reset packet. You can see the target system is responded with the SYN. So Nmap is identified that port is open, right? So it's like that. So when you send what I can say is when you send TCP, the three-way handshake will be completing. Then it's identifying the result. So it's better to start with Nmap and check every time what's happening when you're doing scanning. So let's now keep it T, then continue. Let's hit enter. Okay, now you can see what I got it. Let me stop this. Let's take a pen. Yeah. So I sent a SYN packet, then they sent SYNAC, then I sent an acknowledgement. So three-way handshake is completed, and then I sent a reset place acknowledgement to them. Right? This is what happened when I do TCP scan. Similar to that, perform the UDP scan on the same port. Enter. So we sent UDP packet. You can see this is the thing. We sent a UDP packet. So it's saying that destination is unreachable. Okay. Then it's showing that port is closed. Okay. But if you see when you send a UDP packet, it's saying destination unreachable with ICMP packet. Okay. But if the port is open, let's say scan a port which is open and check the response. Okay. So, okay, port is closed. Okay, destination is unreachable. Let's do it for 137. Let's do it for a port which is open. Yeah. Now the port is open. So if you see here, what happened is I got the response from the port. So this is like first thing what I have done. I sent a packet like UDP packet to them. Then I got the response from the system, that is NBT stats. Okay, NetBIOS I got the net bias response. Then you know, then I sent ICMP destination unreachable. Okay, then I sent ICMP destination unreachable. So every time when you're initiating the scan, so you can go ahead and start the Wireshark tool and understand packet level. So it's very easy for you to remember lifelong, and it's easy for you to identify the behavior of the system, right? So yeah, we are done with uh, you know identifying the live host and different types of port scans and how to define the port to the Nmap. So next thing comes is how to identify the service and what version. So when you're running a scan, automatically it is identifying what service is running, right? But when you want to check the exact version of that service, you can add hyphen SV. Okay, you can add hyphen small s capital V. Then it will give you the exact version of the port which is running, right? This is the extra which you need to add. Okay, otherwise you go with hyphen capital A. You go with hyphen capital A. So hyphen capital A is basically a aggressive scan. Okay, it's a aggressive scan. So if you see, I got more result than the previous one. When I run the version scan, this is what the result. But when I run the aggressive scan, if you see, I got this result. Along with that, even I got how many hubs distance it is. Only one hub because it's in my network. And what is the system name? This is the IPC and the operating system details. Then it queried net bias because this is the net bias port 137. With the help of it's identified the net bias status and it revealed that the net bias name and net bias user and the MAC address. So what's happened when I run aggressive scan is that aggressive scan is basically the combination of syn scan plus okay plus okay operating system scan plus it is performing the trace route to identify the hubs in between the devices. Even it is performing the enumeration on the open port, right? So that is what the result which we got it over here. So it's a combination of syn scan and version detection, and it's doing trace route, it's identified the operating system details, and it's running some scripts for enumerating the particular open port, right? Particular open port. So yeah, this is good one. Like hyphen A is a good one, aggressive scan, but it will take some time. Okay, it's not very quick. It will not give you very quick result because it has doing so many things in the background. But I'll suggest you to go with this. Okay, it's not like directly you run this scan. First, understand the behavior of other scans. Then after that, you can go with the aggressive scan and check it out, right? So then OS detection, yeah, of course, you can use hyphen O to identify the operating system. But I am telling you frankly, there is no tool to identify what exactly the operating system is being used until unless if they are disclosing any kind of operating system versions or operating system details themselves. Okay, so even I'll help you to you know I'll help you to identify the operating system details in some other way. Like when you do ping on any system, like let's say I'm doing ping for a Windows system, okay, and let's stop this. And when I'm doing ping for 171, so this is also, kind of a, this is also Windows system, okay, and it's not responding. Okay, let's do the ping for my own system, that is 127.0.0.1. It's a localhost IP address. So if you see the difference for TTL values, so when I scan a Windows system, the TTL value is 128, and when I scan a Linux system, the TTL values are 64. So even this TTL values will also, I can say, this TTL values will also help you to identify the operating system. So you can just go to the browser and check TTL values with the operating system wise. Okay, and depending on the TTL value, even you can decide what operating system it is. Yeah, you got it, right? So here the details of different types of TTL values along with their operating system details. Okay, it will not give you the exact version. Okay, and again I'm repeating, it will just help you to identify what operating system might be they are using, like it's kind of a guessing. That's it. Okay, even we can call this process as a banner grubbing. Banner grubbing is a process of identify the operating system details. Okay, but until unless if they are disclosing from themselves, okay, we will be not having any idea to how to identify the operating system details. Okay, so sometimes like in the HTTP response header, they will mention like what server and what operating system they are using. So in that case also we can able to identify it, right? Then okay, then we have completed this. Then Nmap has a capability to run the NSS scripts also. Okay, so if you go to this particular location, cd user share Nmap scripts. Okay, cd user share Nmap scripts. So Nmap has bunch of NSS scripts. Okay, so this is a Nmap, NSS script engine scripts which will help us to perform the 13 to 14 different types of uh, things, like when it comes to vulnerability identification, enumeration, brute force, and information gathering, and so many things you can able to do it. Okay, so let's say when you're doing, we have so many NSS scripts. Okay, and when you're performing the scanning on a system, you have identified that there is, let's say, yeah, there is port number 137 is open. That is, uh, that is net bias. Okay, so if I want to check the details of it, okay, so what I'll do is I'll just give ls and I'll just grip it out. I'll just grip it out all the uh, you know all the scripts related to net bias, and there is no scripts. I guess nbt stats will be there. Yeah, you can see I have the nbt stats script. So I'll just copy the script, and I know that in my system in port number 137, okay, the nbt stats is running. So I'll just add new thing called scripts, then I'll paste the script. Okay, it's 135. Yeah, it's a 135. You can see it's queried the NetBIOS port for net status. Okay, NetBIOS status. The tool name is net, and is NetBIOS status. So it has given the system name. So this will also help you. You have the system name of the target now. Because of the port is open, we have enumerated it. You try to perform brute force on any other port if in case if it is open, right? So similar way, let's say now port number FTP is open. Now when you want to enumerate the information about the FTP, you can grip it and you can check any FTP scripts are there. You can see we have FTP enumeration. Okay, we have FTP enumeration scripts, and we can check if it is vulnerable for this particular CVE, and we can check if in case if it is having any kind of a backdoor on that particular version. We can do brute force, and we can check if anonymous login is existed. And rather than that, we have other scripts also. So you can use the scripts and you try to enumerate more information. The best way to enumerate more information is identify what port is open and identify what service is running, then take that particular enumeration script for that service, then run against it and check the result. Otherwise, if you have any kind of a client software like FTP or SSH, directly try to you know connect with it. Directly try to connect with it. You can see connection is refused because the port is not open. Okay, then try to connect with SSH if the port is open. Okay, you can see connection is refused because the port is not open. If the port is open, then you can come here when you want to enumerate. Okay, when you can grip it for SSH and take the SSH enumeration scripts and run against it. Okay, so similar way, I'm gonna show you something for other ports like uh, what ports are open: 135, 139, and yeah, let's take port number 445. Let's take port number 445. So what is the port number 445? First, what we have to do? Okay, let's initiate the scan for port number 445. Let's do the aggressive scan. Okay, not do aggressive scan. Let's do actually port number 445 is SMB. Okay, simple messaging block protocol, which will be used to do the internal file sharing in the network. Okay, I guess you might be aware of it. So most of the internal file sharing will happen using the SMB protocol, and it's vulnerable also. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just do first ls, and I'll just grip it with SMB scripts. Oh my god, there are so many SMB scripts. So there are so many SMB scripts to identify the domain details, like in which domain it is connected, in which group it is connected, what all the processor services are running, what all the sessions are there, what all the shares are there, how many users are there. Even we have something called flood, ls, enumeration, OS discovery through SMB. Let's say I want to identify the operating system details with SMB. So I'll be doing -p port number 445, then I'm doing -- script equal to the whatever the script I have copied. Then you can define the target, right? Then see, using SMB, we have identified that it's a Windows 7 Ultimate 7600 6.1 version of the operating system which we are using. See, they are themselves disclosing. Okay, because of the misconfigurations, because the port should not be open if they are not using it. Because if an attacker got this kind of an information, it's very easy for an attacker to choose the right exploits which are associated with this particular version, and he may exploit it. Okay, he may exploit it. Even there are certain vulnerabilities in SMB also. Okay, let's identify what is a version of SMB. Mm, enumerate domains, share sessions. Where is a version? Okay, I guess this one is something enumeration script. Okay, let's copy this and let's just replace this script with, okay, for this is for MB enumeration, and it has given the other information like where it is running. It has given my local host, you know, system details also, because it's a virtual system which is running in my local host. So let's try to check if it is having any kind of a vulnerabilities. There are some vulnerabilities which are associated with this particular port SMB. So what I'll do is I'll take the common attribute called vul and I will run this, and I'll check if it is having any kind of a vulnerabilities, okay, which are in this. So it's going to take some time because we are running so many different scripts. Okay, I got the result. So the first CVE 2012.118, where is it? Okay, here few of them are listed with Microsoft CVE ID. Okay, no issue. So this is access denied. This exploit is false. This is, we need the admin access. But if you see interestingly, SMB World 17010 is vulnerable for remote code execution vulnerability in Microsoft SMB version 1 server. Okay, so it means that we are running SMB version 1 and that is vulnerable, and this is the CVE number which is associated with this vulnerability. Okay, so remember this CVE number, so this will help us to attack on this particular port later, and the risk factor is very high, and they have given some of the references. So now this particular vulnerability is existed, remote code execution vulnerability is existed on the port number 445, that is SMB version 1. So now what we have to do is we have to identify the exploit, whether the exploit is available or not in the internet. If the exploit is available, then we will basically exploit this vulnerability and we'll try to enter into the system. Okay, so your task is that now you have to check whether the exploit code is available or not in the internet. You can go with this, some of the references which I have posted in the chat, to identify what exactly is the vulnerability and when it is discovered and what is the mitigation for it and how to exploit it. How to exploit it. So and again I will be showing you in the next classes like how to exploit it. So now just we are doing active information gathering, right? So even we can do vulnerability analysis with the help of NSS scripts, but in the next classes we'll be discussing about the vulnerability assessment with the Nessus tool and Qualys tools. So these are all the very famous vulnerability assessment tools, which is automated thing. It will scan the system with all the possible vulnerabilities with their repository, and it will identify all the vulnerabilities and it will give you result in a very stylish report. Okay, so we'll see this tomorrow, how the vulnerability analysis can be done with the help of Nessus and Qualys tools, right? So hope you have understand everything. Okay, and hope you have learned new things from here. And now it's time for questions, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me or put in a chat box, right?